to stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. All right. So we will start out checking for a quorum. We do have one member who is not here at the council tonight. She did ask me to read a letter on her behalf, and that would be for Emily Morgan. She said she is tendering in her resignation immediately because I feel it is no longer a safe environment for me to continue to be of service due to my epilepsy, autism, and ADHD. I feel that I can no longer continue to be of service in a place that cannot value my honest input or even personage, and would rather be with my family making a difference there. I have wasted enough of my precious life energy for free, taking on the enormous problems of Toledo, and I am ready to move on. Being called rude and arrogant was the last straw. I believe that Toledo isn't doing its job properly yet, and what is currently a C job should be an A job. I believe that Toledo should be a clean, safe, and fair place to live. That has always been my goal. I feel that my voice isn't listened to, and I now feel I can't be myself at council. It has a feel like the vultures are descending, and so I have done the best I can for this thankless job. Those who know what I have done will know what they have lost. Good luck, City of Toledo, Emily Morgan. So aside from Emily, we do have a quorum with the rest of the remaining council members. So with that being said, we will go ahead and I would call for other business items, which I do have. I wanted to get the special event permit in front of council for the 4th of July with the Soto family. So we've got copies of that going around, so that'll come up at the end. I would also entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. So we will go ahead and move on to department reports. It's the end of the month, so I don't believe you've got anything new for us today. So nothing from the police department. We have City Hall.
I did not do my report this month. I failed miserably.
And other than that, it looks like we've got Carly back. Her softball season is over, so we are good to go now. And we'll move on to the public works reports. Operations are as normal. They're continuing to do mowing and weed eating as usual, getting things cleaned up for cheese days. They sprayed all of the curb lines and they're going around cleaning those up. They painted the parking stripes in the gravel lot back here behind City Hall. So if anybody has had the chance to drive through there, it looks really nice. The water leak that was up in the watershed has now been fixed as well. And they finished pressing digester 1 solids, and the visual inspection of the tank and pumps has been completed. Are there any questions that anybody has for Public Works?
By spraying curb lines, what do they mean?
So they're going around town spraying like for all the weeds and stuff along the
What is
curbs.
spraying?
I can ask him what they're using.
We explicitly removed the carcinogens from the budget. So I'm just curious
What they're spraying with.
We already have enough kids getting cancer. That stuff is cancerous. It's my pet peeve. And as I was driving down, I believe Pine,
Mhm.
I noticed that there's almost no lines at the stop signs.
Oh,
That's
the
something
stop,
that-
the
yeah,
stop
I
line.
know that I kept hearing touchdowns talked about a lot the last couple of years. I was curious if that's, I know we have a whole bunch of them already, so I'm curious if that's on their list.
I will make sure to get with John in the morning and make sure that that's.
And then lastly, maybe we need to contact the company that did the chip seal and see if they're gonna come sweep again, hopefully before Tuesdays.
Okay.
Because Augustus is pretty gravelly.
Okay.
It's worked to the edges, but
Yeah. Perfect. Any other questions for them? All right, perfect. So we'll go ahead and move on to the council report. So my report, probably the most exciting thing that we got and the most important thing to note is that we did receive an email letting us know that the all-way stop will be going in here at 505 and Second Street very soon. They're in the, kind of the final phases. They're ordering the signs, and they've already placed the work order to be done. So pretty soon we'll be seeing that.
Does that mean they're gonna reverse the one way? Or?
No, it'll just be an all,
Three-way.
yeah, it'll be the freeway stop.
Fantastic.
And
Yes.
they're removing all the pipes and.
That was not on their list. Just the stop sign. So we're gonna see, or not a stop sign, but changing that to an all-way stop. So that we're not getting the people blowing through town at 45 miles an hour.
So they have to plan where the stop ahead is gonna be put, because they'll be having stop ahead signs on 505. And then they need to also have the change in traffic flow signs that'll be up for probably quite a while.
Mhm.
So there's really no more use for those white tubes. That's what I was talking. It's so distracting.
I can
Just
email them and
change-
ask them if they're
Well,
taking
that's,
that up.
did they put those up? I thought those are
I
ours.
thought we did.
I think that's how those are ours.
Why are they?
I
still
thought those
there?
were state. Yeah,
The
that's,
state put those up?
They hide the pedestrians waiting to
They
cross.
thought that if they narrow the roadway with those bollards, it would make people pay more attention and slow down.
It didn't.
it did not.
The effect was not as intended.
No, and the effect is pedestrians are slightly hidden. They're lost in the tower.
Okay, I will shoot them over an email tonight and verify and let you guys know at the next council meeting if
Yeah,
those are
what
coming
they-
down.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All
I
right,
guess I'm first to go.
you are.
No, I don't have a lot to report other than I'm a little disappointed to see somebody taking out their angst on council. It seems to be a pattern that is repeating itself. And I hope that Emily can find some happiness and that some of the things she's been doing, that she can find some. If you're watching Emily, some volunteer opportunities, be kind of great to see one of the volunteer organizations pick up the twice a year cleanup.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
that was very nice that she's done.
Mhm. And I can definitely reach out and see if that's something that she's interested in still staying involved as a volunteer within the city.
That's it for me.
Well, now you guys have me all out of order. Okay.
I have nothing to report.
Jamie?
I wanted to put my 2 cents in there too, because I'm really tired of taking the brunt for people not living up to their responsibilities. And so, I think we're doing a good job. I think being rude to people is not acceptable. It's not part of, council protocol. And it's not part of Robert's Rule of Orders either. So, that's my 2 cents with that. And I had something else, but it's escaped me.
All right, so we will go ahead and, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that Eric is my favorite neighbor.
We noted. I'm sorry, Kathy.
We can cause better.
And I don't change a lot of tires.
All right, so, for committee reports, anything from planning commission?
Planning Commission has nothing and the June meeting was canceled.
I'd say that will be moved to the July and that.
The public hearing, right? We're still doing, no,
That public
July.
hearing will be the fall in.
right, in July.
Yeah,
17. And we do not have a what you call that, Eric? No,
workshop? No?
a resolution
Oh, okay.
that moves our meetings once they fall. on
Oh,
holiday.
gotcha. Okay, so that's why it was, okay. All right, anybody want to speak on behalf of the park or the park board?
I will.
So everything is going quite smoothly at the park. I'd like to pass on my thanks to the Lions Club for them coming out and doing their annual Clean the Park. They did a fabulous job making sure that everything was all ready for the upcoming events that are being held, and we are starting to get more on campus. So we have a very promising summer.
And I did notice when I was, because I walked through there a few times with the new dog this weekend. I did notice that on the side closest to the baseball fields, there are still a few of the trees that probably should be weed eated around. And then we still need to finish, I know they did a good portion of the park side of the lift station, but we probably need to see if we can finish that before maybe 4th of July, just so it doesn't become a fire hazard. The lift, so at the far end of the park, just across from the dump station on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, right there, just that little side. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Mayor, before we move on,
Yeah.
so the way it works when a council member leaves is the council appoints somebody for the remainder of that term, which is the next 18 months. So we should be,
And we have 90 days, I believe, to fill
we have
that.
90 days or before the county takes over and
Yep.
appoints somebody.
So yeah, so we'll be, if everyone can look forward, maybe next meeting, if we can have some suggestions, if anybody has them, so we can start moving forward to get that vacancy filled.
And if the audience knows anybody in town who's interested,
Yes, that would be wonderful. Oh, so we have no public hearings tonight, no special presentations. Is there any public comment on the agenda items?
I'm just gonna say something real quick. I just wanted to compliment Rachel on all of her work doing all of the codifying of stuff, because I think that we have needed it for a while, and it's been a lot of work getting to where we are, and I think that you don't hear that enough.
Thank you.
Second.
Yes.
yes. Here,
Indeed. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and move on to new business. So we're starting with ordinance 802, which is an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending, reaffirming, and repealing sections of Toledo Municipal Code, chapter 6-2, amending, reaffirming, and repealing sections of ordinance number 748 as necessary, repealing ordinance number 800 and providing for servability and establishing an effective date.
I'll make a motion that we accept the changes to ordinance or accept ordinance 802.
I'll second it.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the fine for simple matter is too low. And there is no requirement for policing your fecal matter deposits. And I don't have a dog and I've got dog poop in my yard. Which means somebody is not obeying the leash law.
yeah, I have seen an awful lot of that in driving around town lately, that there's an awful lot of dogs that are roaming loose. The issue with figuring out whose dog pooped in your yard is gonna be an issue when we have so many roaming loose. And I'm definitely open to, if there's whatever we're thinking for the penalty, I mean.
I think it should be up to 50 with all the other ones,
Okay.
or maybe 1,000.
I think that might be a little too much. It's gonna be one of those things that's gonna be very hard to police, but, I mean, unless you catch them in the act.
Could you drop by the town, every now and then, and find out what out is open in the yards?
We would start a camera on our porch that would.
Motion camera, motion sensor.
Exactly.
Surveil your property.
Take
Uh,
quick
so-
photo.
Do you want to amend the motion?
I would like to amend this motion to increase the fecal matter fine to $50.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so the amended motion's been moved and seconded. Do we have any further discussion? All right, so we'll be increasing that penalty to 50. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We will move on to the next one, which is ordinance number 803, an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending, reaffirming and repealing sections of Toledo Municipal Code, Chapter 6-3, amending, reaffirming and repealing sections of ordinance number 748 as necessary and providing for servability and establishing an effective date.
I'll make a motion that we approve, I passed it, ordinance. Amending, reaffirming and repealing sections of Toledo Municipal Code, Chapter 6-3. Amending, reaffirming and repealing sections of ordinance number 748 as necessary and providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
I'll second that.
So a point of order, when you do that, then that means that the clerk in the minutes has to verbatim quote you.
Okay.
All you have to do is say ordinance
Yeah.
803.
Yeah, just the ordinance numbers.
I'll keep it short next time.
She has to read it by law.
Law.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
On 6.3-4J, because I didn't get it printed out. Are alcoholic beverages banned at the campsite? Because open drinking is banned.
I think you can drink within your campsite. You cannot be walking around the park drinking.
Okay, because we kind of have a conflict because city ordinances, there's no open drinking. And then in the park, there's no open drinking.
So I think what it is at your campsite, since you're technically renting that, it's like a motel, it's your
Yeah.
domicile, yeah, so you can sit at your campsite, but you can't walk around the park drinking.
Yeah, it's the same as us sitting on your back porch having a drink. You can do that. You just can't walk up and down the streets drinking.
Well, then is it worded properly? Because if they were stinkers, they could get arrested.
I agree.
Does it not fall under an event or activity that a permit has been issued since they get a park permit to spend the night? Yeah,
Right, but the ordinance says.
Yeah.
No open drinking, there's no.
In a
drinking
city
the
park. So, but that's the campsites, no, they are still city park regardless, because they're separate, it's not a separate entity.
Well, we can put except for at designated camp areas. Add that in there.
That gets complicated really quick.
Mhm.
I can't say you can't drink at your campsite.
No, we can't do that.
So that would be something. We don't have the proper
Worded.
verbiage.
It just gets really weird because you can
Yeah.
rent a campsite just to hold a party.
Or you could just go into a campsite that's not being used and.
Yeah,
No, you have to be there, yeah. So we might have to confirm the wording on that.
yeah,
so
Yeah, because there's no drinking in the park, so even if you had an RV. And you're sitting inside your RV and somebody said, hey, you're drinking in there.
But you can have alcohol at the campsite if you're camping there. I think it's just not at the park, like the city park where the kids are at. I think, and again,
Based on this, though.
yeah.
It's illegal. So the wording is.
can we just remove city park?
I
City
think
park,
you need-
we
I
have
think you
one
need to
city
research
park.
it A little bit more, and you're gonna need to look at the Fourth Amendment to see how that applies.
We have one city park and then the Kimball City has its rules. So if we just remove city park, it,
Does Camp Folsom cover the rules? I can't remember off the top of my head about drinking in your.
Tim's here.
They're
Yeah.
designated to
Yeah.
their campsite.
correct.
That's in the most updated camp
No
rules.
containers outside of their own camps.
Mhm.
Right.
And we only have the one city.
Isn't this the same ordinance that prohibits firearms in the park?
I'd have to look at it a bit.
Yes.
Yes,
We're probably gonna have to look at this a little bit more, make sure we have.
This was written by Marissa.
And the problem.
Not
Oh, is this
us.
all new from?
This is
Marissa?
Marissa's, yeah.
yeah.
This came from the attorneys.
I make a motion that we table it until we get some more clarification.
Second.
Eric beat you to it.
Okay.
All right, so it has been moved and seconded to table to next meeting. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? All right, that is tabled till the next meeting. So we'll move on to ordinance number 804. An ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending and reaffirming the sections of Toledo Municipal Code, chapter 7-1, amending and reaffirming sections of ordinance number 625 as necessary and providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
I make the motion that we, confirm as ordinance number 804. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. Item 16 is wrong in every pertinent sense. I don't know what the wording needs to be, but this makes my roadies out of compliance. My hydrangeas are out of compliance.
It's the other vegetation that she added that didn't used to be there. And 12, and it was 4 feet, not 12 inches.
So we can change that.
Well,
We asked them for all of this work.
18 inches now.
No, we asked them for it because again, we need to,
Did they take a look at what we had and try to keep or do they just start over, or do they just copy paste some other city?
Yeah,
They-
because if you grow sunflowers,
Yeah.
they're out of compliance.
yeah, it does seem like we talked about this before.
Mhm.
well, that was the letter that got sent out and the old guy came in and was like,
And sadly, he's moved on.
He has.
But I have sunflowers.
And I think we talked about common sense would apply to
Right.
that. When we talk with them, we're not gonna come in there and write you a ticket for having a sunflower plant that exceeds.
But we definitely have peas
We
growing
did
in the
that.
front
The
of it.
ordinance needs to be correct.
We have
Yeah.
7 foot tall peas growing in the front in the side yard.
so reword 16. Other vegetation, got it.
I think just, removing the other vegetation.
Yeah. I'll take care of it. You don't want grasses and weeds.
Yeah, that becomes a fire
It's
hazard.
fire hazard, yeah.
If you have, ornamental grasses, they're too tall.
Yeah, well, I'll get it reworded closer too,
So we need to table it again, or?
or you can just amend it.
You wanna amend it?
I amend ordinance number 804.
Number
What do I
16.
want to say?
Item 16.
Number 16, on the contingency that number 16 gets reworked.
Well, then
To
let's-
remove other vegetation.
You have to get specific. or we
Yeah.
have to postpone.
Okay, somebody else make the motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve 804 with the change to 16 to remove or other vegetation.
I'll second that.
It's gotta be better than that because 12 inches and 18 inches is not gonna put anybody in compliance.
Of grasses and weeds, it will only be grasses and weeds that,
Yeah,
and we don't want 12-inch, 18-inch grasses and weeds because it's a fire hazard.
If you have an ornamental grass.
An ornamental, even an ornamental grass would be another vegetation, and we're taking that out. The ornamental grass is really in clumps and buttons, it's not a grass weeds.
that's a plant at that point.
Yeah.
So not, yeah,
It's
not a
other
grass.
vegetation.
Grass, but it's a plant.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I kept a couple of yours that looked ornamental, by the way. When I mowed your lawn,
Did you?
becoming your favorite neighbor. I did, because they were funky enough to look like they could have been ornamental, and I've gotten enough trouble at home. getting all of this.
Okay, so it has been amended, moved and seconded to remove the other vegetation. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Bear with me. So the next thing up is the Civic Plus contract.
This was all approved through ARPA funds. We've got our contract. This is- Gets us started.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Civic Plus contract.
I'll second.
I'm really happy that this has gotten cheaper. Do they have an idea on how long?
Can I, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. And me too.
Mhm.
Okay, Eric,
Just getting out of control. No, that was it.
So is this the complete codification? Because it says land development, et cetera.
So it's all of our ordinance and our land use codes.
Okay, and so, when they send it back to us for approval, is that gonna go by the attorney?
So the attorneys are involved throughout the whole process, yeah.
Okay. So are they gonna have time to devote to this so that there's a 45-day turnaround once they get it to us for approval?
A 45-day on this.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
My
I'm not
assumption
following.
that Buzzards is gonna,
Once they send it to us for approval, we have 45 days to get it back to them and say yay or nay.
Correct, and we will probably be using our RMSA lawyers, which are free.
Okay,
So we can use
Yeah.
those. If they're not available, then I will reach out to Buzzard also and we can use them.
okay.
Are we gonna include planning commission to take a look at the land use codes?
Well, the land use codes are the ones that came out. That's what I provided. They're gonna go through all of our old ordinances. They're gonna put them all in one and then, yeah, they're gonna send it. That's what our final thing's gonna be. They're not gonna make any changes for us. They're just gonna say, this is what your actual code is. Because right now we've got the ones that came out in 2020, we have the ones
Right.
that, so they're just gonna go through everything in all of our ordinances and give you a final, this is what your code actually is.
Would you want planning commission to take a look at that to make sure they're correct?
Yeah, you can. I mean, that's what the attorneys, I mean, you guys can totally be involved in it as well.
I think my understanding is that's what we're hiring. them.
That's what we're hiring them to do. Yeah,
And
that's
then-
what,
And then you look at it as a planning commission.
and then make your
This needs to be
changes.
changed.
Yeah, then you
Yeah.
guys can come in and say, I don't like this we need to change. But until we have a set, this is what our code actually is, we can't. And then it's all yours.
And that's set in stone. is it not?
No, it's
No,
already
it's
set in
not.
stone. We just don't know what that stone is because there's so many ordinances out there. And they're all kind of all over the place. We need to have a book of what actually is. And then, yeah, and then we need to go in and make changes and make updates and,
Okay,
and this package includes them, and it looks like it's an annual service that's gonna keep doing quarterly roll-ups of.
yeah, and there was another, they sent me, there's like a couple different packages and I took some of them off where it's like live updates on our website and all that stuff, which obviously we don't need that. We can do that ourselves. So yeah, this is the annual reoccurring service. We send them everything and I don't know that we need to do the annual reoccurring service, but at $2,000 just to keep everything updated, it might be nice.
Well, if we don't, then it gets in the state it's in now.
Correct.
And it looks like that's including, they'll take our ordinances quarterly and bundle them into an update.
Yes.
And after the first 3 years, 5% increase. How I read it.
We still stay for 5%. For 3 years.
So I was wondering also, it comes with 3 copies. Did they give you a pricing to get more?
They did. I'll have to look, 'cause it was in another email.
It's gonna be-
We can make our own too. I mean, at that point, we'll just make our own.
And it's hosted online, so
Yeah, with all
It's
digital as
online.
well.
you have an interactive And there's a lot of other towns have that. I've played with it. It's really nice. You just search on keywords and it'll find stuff.
Any more discussion? All those in, oh,
Yes, now that you mentioned it, if it's online, is that something, we can provide a link on our website?
Front and
Yep.
center,
Yep.
yeah.
any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, good to go, motion carries. Next one will be Officer Carter training request.
So make a motion, we accept Officer Carter's training request.
I'll second it.
Sorry to jump in on that, but I'm excited for it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I did have, some questions on it, but apparently I didn't get the whole printed thing. Because I was going to suggest that you put the duration and pricing, but apparently it was on the other thing.
Yeah,
Okay, so other than that, we're good?
If this is a good time to talk about, I think once budgeting comes around, we should maybe not. We should consider something that allows us to have the budget money so that it's kind of, so it sounds like we've got the budget for the food side of it, but not the lodging. But between the total money available, we're fine. So maybe we should have that be a roll up or something so that we can.
Or
I
just
mean, I
make
love
it-
seeing this, but.
or just make it one bars.
Or just, that's, yeah,
Mhm.
roll it up, yeah.
Okay, and, so Chief, you're gonna be on your own for a couple of weeks?
Yes, and typically the law enforcement budget, the subcategories are kind of fluid, so like, you know, if they're similar, we can move money around to accommodate a training or, you know, a lodging or food item. As long as you document it, let everybody know what's going on. That's been my past experience, but the ordinance is different, so that's why we're here today.
No, and then he's gonna be gone for.
Yes, yeah, I'm gonna work some extra hours.
So you're in charge.
My wife is actually heading out to do some of her keynote speaking, so. It's a perfect opportunity to work extra hours too. So we'll make it work.
All right. If there is no further discussion, go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll go ahead and get that taken care of. All right, so moving on, we've got the recommendation, the city council's recommendation to city council to adopt the Park With Us reservation system. So it looks like following an evaluation, the City of Toledo Park Board unanimously recommended transitioning Kemp Olson Park Reservation System from Firefly reservations to the Park With Us. Some of the key points of the recommendation: increased booking flexibility. Park With Us allows reservations in smaller time increments, enhancing service offerings for day use and short-term facilities. Improved operational efficiency, features such as refundable deposits, ensure facilities are properly maintained and quickly prepared for subsequent bookings. User-friendly experience. The Park With Us system offers intuitive interface and responsive customer service aligned with our commitment to visitor satisfaction. And then the financial consideration. The new system involves a fee structure of 8% plus striped fees, which will necessitate minor cost adjustments for RV spots. These changes are outlined in the proposal that is attached.
Yeah.
I am.
I'll move that we, accept the recommendation for the switch to Park With Us.
I'll second it.
Right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
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 All right, well, Jamie.
I have two. What does Firefly charge, and are we prepared to raise our rates again? to incorporate this speed.
I'm gonna answer that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
My question was asking what our website administrator thought about it.
So Jamie, that added cost is actually the service fee that we already pass on to the renter. And so that fee will get adjusted to accommodate the 8%.
So our fee stays the same, but when they're paying, it gets added on by the service provider.
Do you know what the fee is at the moment?
$3.50.
Oh, it's not a percentage.
It's pretty comparable. I believe the tent sites, pretty much remain the same. It's the
That's what
more
it's saying.
expensive RV sites that is about 50, I think, is the added fee.
And my other, well, I'm sorry, are you done?
Go ahead.
I just wondered, the transition between Firefly and Park with Us, is that an easy transition for our side to learn and just.
And then, so it's my turn, now. Is this gonna allow us to do the partial day rentals
Yeah.
on the kitchen?
Yes.
Great.
And more importantly, it will allow us to put real-time messages on the main page if the dump station's closed because of weather or who knows, but we'll be able to do announcements.
Okay, the reason I asked about that partial day is we were hitting a lot of times last year where we could have had a first half of the day on the weekend, on the Saturday, second half of the day with two different parties that just needed it for 4 hours, but we couldn't administer renting for the. So I guess there'll be some changes.
But yeah, and Carly and I will work with Tim on how best to kind of manage if we choose to go that route, because I think the park board probably will need to consider that.
And so that'll happen during the winter when we're quiet.
It depends on how quickly I can get it rolled over, so it's conceivable that we can pull off at least the latter half of the summer.
Then we'll need to talk, so we'll need to have a change to our fees,
Yes,
so.
Yeah.
So I'll have to schedule.
yeah, and I'll work through the park board on that, and the recommendation will come to you.
And are we planning on implementing, this is one of the bullets is, are we planning on implementing deposits?
I think that needs to be discussed as a possibility, primarily just to incentivize people on those partial days to get their stuff put together and out of there, and so it doesn't fall to Tim to do any cleaning.
Rachel stepped out, but she said she didn't like deposits.
No, she doesn't, so we'll have to figure something out.
One question I had about it was, the integration, like moving everything from Firefly over, will they talk to one another? Or are we gonna have to manually go in and move all of our already?
There are so few
Okay.
reservations that.
Okay.
And all.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and deposits to me are pretty important.
Yeah, I don't know what
I mean, if
Rachel.
you're using-
And maybe it was the
I
long-term
don't-
deposit.
Yeah,
I think it
don't
was
know
the
what
water
Rachel's,
sewer kind of deposit.
Concerns are, but I'll make sure those
Yeah.
concerns get.
Yeah, because this is supposed to implement it, so shouldn't really have to do anything. We're talking about.
I know, I heard my name, so I came right back. I was looking something up real quick.
The park deposits, do you have a different opinion on that than you did? Was it just the long-term nature of the water sewer or the deposit? that we talked about?
deposits.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
so this
just,
is very different, gonna be okay, or?
So one of the suggestions is if we're gonna split the kitchen into having half days. That to help facilitate and not burden Tim and Ruth is if we take a refundable deposit. That incentivizes people to actually clean up after themselves as they exit for a new group to come in, so.
so there's stipulations that go into that, though it's gonna have to go into a separate account, at least for the water sewer stuff, but I know any kind of, refundable deposits have to get back within like a 72-hour period.
So that should, I think we'll have to come up with a process, but that.
Yeah, and
should
as long as
be-
we're not writing a check, as long as we're able to just go in and just click, I think it'll be fine.
So the service will hold the deposit?
Strike will hold the deposit.
so-
Oh, we're
oh,
good,
that's-
we're good.
And then you'll do a partial.
You just release. it.
Yep, we're good then.
Okay, can you explain Stripe? Because-
Stripe is a credit card capturing service that the city uses.
Okay,
That most of the country uses.
Yeah, it's the,
On the merchant side.
yes, the
It's a
de
merchant site.
facto standard.
okay, because I had heard it mentioned and I'm going, what was that about?
Yeah, it's like the square,
That, yeah.
put in your phone.
Which might sit on Stripe.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll move forward with switching over. Next item is the application from Renee Cabral for appointment to the park board.
Motion that we accept Renee. to the department.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion?
Here?
He's not. I thought he was going to be.
On the period while I was mayor, I got to meet him. He's a very smart and nice person.
Very inquisitive, wants to know more. He was at the park board meeting. Yeah, he definitely has a good head on his shoulders and is looking to dive in.
Does he know we're voting on this? He might not.
I believe so. Yeah, we told him that, yeah. Any further discussion?
I'm just happy you clarified it was Anina because
Oh.
Renee is a girl to be.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. So we'll move on to I've got a proclamation that I think everybody had seen for Juneteenth.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
So this is a federal observed holiday
Yes.
that we.
So we're
that we
going to on
acknowledge.
Wednesday.
We are, which threw a monkey wrench into our day, for sure. Was there? Gabby?
Does it take a proclamation from, this?
I don't think it requires it.
Sort of holiday?
I'm not 100% certain. My whole reasoning, there's a lot of reasons, one, to bring it to you, but I mean, I know it's observed, it's a federal holiday. The state's got proclamations, a lot of the cities within the state as well do, so trying to just be a little more inclusive and
Do
follow.
you
the
feel
people's way.
that if we don't make a vote on this, it's not being inclusive?
No, no,
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've stated before. I'm kind of here to get the work of the city done and not so much the virtue signal. And if this is a virtue signaling thing, then I'm
yeah,
I question it by default. And I would that across anything. So,
yeah, and it was more, and again, me still being new to all of this, whether or not this is something that we do since it is a federal holiday. And I'm open to,
Okay, and I'll be on the other side and say there's nothing wrong with virtue.
I make a motion.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve this proclamation for Juneteenth.
I'll second that.
it has been moved and seconded. Do we have further discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. So now we will move on. Scrolling up and down. I don't need it.
Special event.
Yes, so. We didn't have any unfinished, the other business, did we want to? Yeah, we can start with the special event permit, which everybody should have copies of. So basically it's just, the Lions Club is going to be overseeing the 4th of July celebration. So, I know Ethan came in, filled everything out. He's got all the entrance and stuff ready to go. I did make sure, I know Amanda had sent me a preview of what the thing was gonna be, and originally it said, you know, that alcohol was, you know, frowned upon, and I was like, no, it needs to be prohibited, especially being on city property, so. Just kind of wanted to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the special event permit application for the Fourth of July fireworks.
I'll second it.
All right. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So did we confirm that the fire department is gonna be on site?
Yes, I did. I talked with Chris. And he is going to a couple days, for the 2 days prior, they're gonna water down everything, the banks, the trees, all of it. All that'll be all watered down to make sure everything's.
I know they have a lot of experience doing this.
Yeah, he's definitely on board with that, so.
Ethan went and talked to Tony and Rick too, so they're.
Oh, good. Perfect.
So the Sotos are not sponsoring this, the Lions Club.
Yes, so it's been an event that they've done for the last however many years, because they need to have the liability insurance, they're partnering up with the Lions Club. So that's why the Lions Club is kind of taking them under there saying, hey, yes, we're gonna cover all the insurance and stuff. So they're partnered with them now.
Okay. They've done it on the street in front of their house, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they came and.
Yeah.
Presentation and I thought,
Yes.
They outgrew that.
Yes,
They
they have.
outgrew it big time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they said they're expecting at minimum 400 people.
So I guess I am a little curious about if we know, what parking. Are, because they're doing the fireworks in the
Yeah.
parking lot.
Yes. So, and I'll chat with Chief as well to see if there's any way that we can maybe, just close off Front Street so that people can use the boat launch parking and the streets there so that they can't park there, they can just sit there, like it's
Oh.
just seating only.
Mhm.
They can sit sidewalks, I'm sure people can stand on the bridge to catch it.
Their flyer and on Facebook also said they're gonna have hot dogs and stuff out in front of City Hall. or
Yes.
somewhere. So.
It'll be a free
They're gonna
table.
have Parking along Kiss Street too, there's a lot of that's going on. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's fine, I'm just curious.
And I'm not 100% sure, if we will be able to, I don't think we can technically close this road down because of the fire department.
We can close the parking.
Yeah, down there, just that, we're just talking right here. Yeah,
Yeah, also, they could set something up.
yeah, exactly.
In front of the senior center for the hot dog stand.
And she does have perimeter fences that'll be like, basically it'll keep people out of the area that they're not allowed to be in. So they keep people back away from the fireworks. So we'll have plenty of, I think, seating space, and I think having it down here, the people from downtown won't have to go up.
Right.
So they'll be able to walk down and see it or just see it from their house. So I think that will be, yeah, 100% you can see it.
I can see Russia. from my house.
Yeah.
So Mayor,
Yes.
they did talk about cleaning up their fireworks stuff,
Yes.
but if there's gonna be 400 people there, I'd like to make sure that they're going to clean up
All the garbage and
the
stuff.
garbage and
Okay.
stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I'll get with them as well and make sure that they've got their plan in place for that. Great. Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. So the rest of the other business, do we want to jump into the water sewer rates, or would you like to do the Spencer's first?
Spencer's first.
Okay, Spencer's first. We'll let you, I know you had some questions about it.
Oh, Spencer's.
For lots.
Yes, that is-
Yes,
Oh, that one.
Yes.
So we have an $18,596 bill for 2 days work. When it came time to sign that check last week, I declined. Because after looking at the invoice, I saw, where's my number? I saw 78 prevailing wage hours billed for 2 days. This looks like they don't ever want to do business with Toledo again, because I would say that we would never do business with them again. if this is what they're going to charge us with. I think that we should ask them for some support material behind this. And this is really their final offer, because
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Well, and when you do an estimate of seven.
That was just the
Yeah.
hourly rate statement. Yeah.
That's not how it was presented, though.
Yeah.
It was presented as, here's your estimate of what it's going to cost.
And
Oh,
now,
by the way, surprise.
and now
Yeah.
Rachel has said that she thinks that there's some problems with the people that put the manufactured homes in, that they didn't actually want
Correct.
to speak to that.
Yeah, so, and I pulled public records from Lewis County for building permits. I even spoke to Michelle over at Napavine. There are notes from Michelle that state that the sewer line needed to be reconnected because there were the 2 mobile homes put in 2020 from Northwest Green Homes. And there was something with the septic because it was going uphill. I don't know if you have any more information on that either from 2020, but
That's forest time.
okay, so there's some missing pieces in there. But it appears like the sewer line was disconnected, so that way we could connect it to the 2 mobile homes, and they never reconnected it to the cemetery. There's literally a huge chunk of pipe missing. It's just not there, like it's coming from the cemetery, and then it's going off to the mobile homes. And so it's supposed to come down and connect. Well, there's like, I think it's like 4 feet of
Nothing.
sewer just not there.
So do we know who the contractor? was?
Northwest Green Homes.
And Public Works is
Yes.
supposed to sign off on it.
And
Right.
so I'm looking for. It doesn't look like our right-of-way permits have a final. Authorization sign off. It just says, please call Public Works before you backfill, but there's nowhere that it's signed off by Public Works, so. I don't know if Fisher's got something down there, if there's any kind of records from when he signed off on right-of-ways, but. I talked to Michelle a little bit today. She said she'd get back to me, so she's.
So we kind of have two issues going on. One, I think, I just don't believe this invoice, and the other is
Northwest Green.
this, yeah, seems somebody else should be responsible for this.
Well, there's 17.5 hours of excavator. 12 hours.
40,
of
12 hours of truck time and
Truck time
48
and-
and a half.
Almost 40 hours of labor.
48 and a half hours of labor. There's 3 labor.
And they were only there, I believe, 2 days,
days.
2 days.
Okay, maybe a little explanation, it's a prevailing wage job,
Correct.
Mhm.
okay, if you're there an hour, you're there a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way they're gonna charge you for that. One thing that we have to make sure that we do is get this, certified payroll from them.
I did.
Okay,
So that's why they brought a whole bunch of people down to watch.
they do, because it's prevailing, and it was an emergency, so it couldn't be put out to bid.
Nope.
And when you pick someone to be your primary contractor in emergency situations, you better know what you're gonna get from them, and in this case, they took advantage. You've got $410 for 6 yards of 5/8" crush, which turns out to be like $68 a yard for crushed rock.
Yeah.
And $39 a yard for crushed rock on the other load that was 12 yards. Those are unfathomable prices for rock.
And $500 for the porta potty, you know that they're renting monthly and that they call it around with them.
But they don't have to tell you that. They don't have to tell you that they already own a porta potty. They get prevailing wage, so they can act like they don't own a single thing. And they have to-
Is that why they rented everything, all their equipment to us,
Mhm.
like the jumping jack? Yeah.
And that certified payroll, I think they send that straight to L&I. It doesn't go to us.
Well, it should go to you.
So I can-
Copies should go to the city because you are the paying agent. And you should require it before you ever cut a check. At least it makes sure that people got paid that say they were there.
Okay.
They should know we'll be looking for somebody else to do it from us from now on, if this is really what they're gonna do to us.
And yeah, they should get a nicely worded letter, and I'd be happy to volunteer for that.
Well, I think someone from Public Works probably should ask them to come in and explain their bill. And you'll get somewhat of the explanation I just gave, but tell them to constantly see through their materials and their rentals. Because they are required to show you those.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, you know, I know they're gonna mark it up and it is prevailing wage, but we want to make sure that they did in fact rent these trucks and.
Are you making that?
Did you get a kiss with that?
No.
I didn't, yeah, no dinner, no nothing.
No,
No.
So I don't know that this requires a vote, but
We're gonna hold off
where am I
on-
paying it from? I gotta get,
we'll figure that out.
I got coming up 410 right now. CapEx.
Probably where it needs to come from.
Okay. All right, so our next one will be the water rates.
Okay, so. Yes, there's a whole lot of options. This, for anybody who's looked at this on the website, I kind of worked my way into. Where we started with historically with the 6%, Brian Osborne has requested that we do a 6% increase every year. Historically, I think we've only done that. Once last year, and then before that, it's been nothing or 1.5% or 3%. I understand it's not, it's not politically awesome, so the mayor doesn't necessarily want that, but, so that got me looking into what does 6% look like over the next decade? And that makes for a pretty big bill. And that just doesn't seem sustainable for our residents. So I put a little bit of time, and I mean that sarcastically, into some ideas. And y'all, I know y'all are familiar with this. I'm kind of speaking for anybody who's listening. So I looked at 6% and then 3% and how that 3% just wasn't sustainable. And then also looking at, we have businesses that pay a larger water bill because they have a larger pipe, but they don't get any more water, which has not been a problem because we give our water away at $3 per 1,000 gallons of overage. And so we looked at increasing that. In trying to be good stewards of our water supply, decreasing how much water we include in your base. And I ended up with, and then we had a couple workshops on that where we talked about a 4.5% raise, lowering our allocation from 8,000 gallons per cycle, which is 4,000 gallons a month, and increasing our overage from $3 per 1,000 to $10 per 1,000. And then on top of that, we've got some residents who, if you're a family of 6, you're paying the same base rate as if you're living alone and are on a fixed income and low income and aren't using any water. And we have a number of residents. We have 22 residents that use under 1,000 gallons a month. We have 32 residents that use under 1,250 gallons a month. They pay the same rate as somebody who's using all of their water that we allocate. And so we ended up with 3,000 gallon or a 3% increase, a 6,000 gallon allocation. So that's a 25% reduction, and a $10 per 1,000 overage, and a tiered water allocation, originally based on your pipe size, but I don't think it should be tied to your pipe size. If we want to tie, we talked about tying the minimum into your pipe size, but let you opt into a higher fixed rate, which is good for the city. If you're willing to give us a fixed higher rate, we'll give you a bit of a deal. And we came up with, and what we talked about a little bit in our last workshop is this new printout, which is 3% rate increase, 6,000 gallons of allotment, which is 3,000 gallons a month. A tiered water allotment, which gives you 6,000 for tier 1, 10,000 for tier 2, 14,000 for tier 3, and 20,000 for tier 4. A reduced allocation for a reduced rate qualifying user of 2,000 gallons per cycle, so that's 1,000 gallons per month, which will, based on the last 5 years of historical readings, pre-qualify about 22 hookups, some of which are not going to qualify because there is a an income aspect to that we have yet to figure out. Costing's about $1,400 per cycle, so that actually generates us more revenue and at the same time cuts down the rate for the bulk of the city. So the way that works out is, we would have 215 of our hookups, and I think we're at, what are we at? Let's see, 315. We're at about 325 hookups. 215 of them would be unaffected. They would see a 2.4% rate increase. 66 of the people would be affected, and if they opted into a tier 2, they would see an 8% increase. And then 11 people would need to opt into a tier 3 for a 14% increase. And 2 people would need to opt into tier 4 for a 19% increase. Those numbers only get so, then there are 12 people that are just using so much water that they maybe need to get that under control. Because at $10 per thousand, you need to actually start caring. And I think we have people that might have leaks that don't care. That will generate us more revenue even if everybody chooses their best tier, which some people are gonna choose not to. That brings us more revenue than a flat 6% raise, while making it the whole thing much more equitable across those who are using versus those who are not. So my proposal, I guess this is kind of lead to a motion, is that we have a 3% water increase. We reduce our allocation per cycle to 6,000 gallons. We change our overage rate from $3 to $10 per thousand. We institute a tiered allocation system and work towards creating a reduced allocation tier of 2,000 gallons per cycle.
I'll second that.
That's what I was
Bring on
trying
the
to figure out
questions.
how to say
Yeah.
that now.
And, yes, there's discussions.
Oh, yeah.
So for those who are not sitting here with one of these sheets in front of them, the talk about the tiers is because of water allowance. So it would be 6,000 gallons, 10,000, 14, and 20. And you can, if you're in tier 2 with 10,000, you can actually opt into the higher tiers by paying a higher base rate, but allowing yourself more water if you think you're gonna be going up. So that was the thing with that. Is that good?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's really a motion, because I know we have a lot of work to do before we actually make the rate change. This would be working towards, I think we're talking about the September.
I think it's a motion to
So
accept this.
it's a motion
Yeah.
to accept this option and move forward as in turning it to an ordinance.
Yes. Okay, do we have any further discussion? All right,
That's it.
all those in favor?
I say we move forward.
Opposed?
So Eric, we have the 300 homes coming online in the next couple of years. Will they receive a rate choice indicator like a sheet when they,
Yeah, I think so.
with their hookup, then they'll get a thing, which one do you want to choose? That's it.
Yeah. And the Gray Osborne was really, was hesitant to have any variability because we're a fixed cost entity. The sewer plant's gonna cost what it costs no matter how much water we sell. And so that's why I really strove to find a solution that worked with that. And worst case is we're making $10,000 more revenue than a flat 6% increase. And best case, if nobody moves, we're making $30,000 more annually. So it does, that limited the risk while creating some upside for us and trying to be more equitable. It's just the whole thing since I've learned how it was done when I moved here. I thought this has not been really that fair. And that's why it's hard to raise rates, right? If you're just, you know, putting your hand over your eyes and saying 6% or 3%, that's not the way to do it. We weren't really justifying it, and we weren't taking into account any factors.
Well, thank you for the hundreds of hours you put in.
There is,
Yes.
there's a 35 tab spreadsheet. It's all interwoven
To
to,
look at.
Yeah. Did it make your head hurt too?
I don't like building them, but I like looking at them.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
And we haven't solidified it yet, but, in opting into a higher tier, that wouldn't be 1 month we do it.
Yeah.
I mean, next month you go back down. We're looking at probably twice a year, maybe. We can do that.
yeah, I think we're gonna be working on this until right up till
We have to, yeah,
Sounds
the September billing cycle.
yeah,
And one of the things that we could talk about now is we are talking about, right now, we give our water away to the people who come to town to fill their tanks for their directional drilling machines and dump their dirty water. Those people don't pay a base rate, they don't pay water capital expense. But what they were doing is getting water at the price of the overage, which is at $3 per thousand, means they come fill up here, dump their wastewater, and we charge them about 50 cents. And we're changing that pretty drastically. It's probably gonna be $20 to fill flat rate, $20 to dump flat rate. And Public Works says we have about 80 of those happen a month. So we've basically been gifting the funds.
How long has that been going on?
For years,
So how much are we going to increase it to?
probably 20 and 20. So that's what the directional drillers want to come. And so it's probably be $40 for them to do that.
And it's still gonna be cheaper than any place around.
Oh, yeah,
Isn't that gonna be way cheap because?
Way cheap. Yeah, that's still way cheap. And so it's good. You want to be, it might be too cheap. We haven't really, I think we're gonna end up having a workshop on it before it happens.
Yeah, 'cause, you know, the library has one toilet, and how often is that toilet being used? And we pay the same rate as everybody else in town. So to me, at 246 or 237 or whatever it is that we get billed for, and here you have people coming in with their wastewater and getting more water, and it's costing more than a little tiny nonprofit. You know,
We
what I
should,
mean? It's
it
struggling.
wouldn't
Makes
take
no
long,
sense.
it wouldn't take long to pull some numbers down there.
So we should talk about nonprofit too, maybe, you know, on a workshop. One of the things that I guess I didn't call out specifically is the reduced, we're not calling it low income, but it really is gonna be the reduced rate low income will be, will drop by 25% to $100 a month. With tax, that's after tax. So that's,
If you take the average of rolling them together, the dumping and the water. It ranges anywhere from the lowest was 80 to as high as $250.
yeah, Eric Grove told me in Portland, it's $60 to dump. To dump
To
his
dump.
slurry, dump his, his dirty water. And they don't fill, they fill
They go
they fill at BNSF because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
To buy the water,
That makes sense.
yeah, and our competition is driving to Chehalis.
yeah,
So,
which they don't want to do.
yeah. So, that's not, none of that, that's just kind of,
And a reminder that Whitlock is in full swing.
so we want to,
It's drilling every day, all
Yep.
day.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess it's a good starting point, so that our next workshop, we can
Great.
dig in deeper. All right, so do we have any public input tonight?
I forgot one thing earlier, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The city of Centralia and Multiculturally Minded Lewis County are hosting a Juneteenth celebration this Wednesday. 10 a.m. to noon at George Washington Park in Centralia. Free food and a bunch of keynote speakers.
Perfect, thank you.
Free food. That's, you say free food and people.
Yes, ma'am.
So, updates on the market.
Mhm.
First off, the Lions Club
kindly donated a big chunk of the money for Operation Shake Off.
Oh, yay.
So they get first crack at needing to use it whenever they think they need to. I've got all components for it now,
Okay.
so you guys tell me what you need me to do in terms of getting the ground sleeves down, and then I need to go, I don't know, get a can of spray paint and drill here, or what's your preference?
I can, are you fine if I have John get in contact with you and you guys can coordinate?
You tell me what to do.
Okay, I'll get in touch with, in the morning, I'll talk with him and I'll have him get in touch with you.
When do you all start setting up on Thursday? Because maybe that's a good time that, you know, they're working, they're during their work hours, if you're there earlier.
We started on Tuesday.
Oh,
But,
so it sounds like Thursday at
Is-
noon is when they're
Okay.
already in town in the area,
okay,
so they could, good time that way.
So, I'm not going to be at market
Oh,
this
just-
Thursday, my
okay.
grandkids are in and I'm.
that's,
training other
I was gonna
kids,
say,
so-
because I think John's out the last half of this week anyway. Would the following Thursday at noon work?
Absolutely.
Okay,
It would be awesome if we could get things drilled and so like by cheese days.
Have it in.
Set that puppy up, plus that's, if we're gonna have a summer, that's generally when the hot weather shows.
So it's a
up.
2
Yeah, yeah.
foot by 2 foot square.
Sorry,
It's a 2 foot by 2 foot square.
what is?
The post,
Yeah,
yeah, there's 2 feet by 2 feet of cement.
Oh.
Right.
So it's a,
it
it's
doesn't
a,
go anywhere.
it's a cut, it's a cut, not a drill.
Oh, okay, okay.
okay. So yeah, I will have him, yes.
On a related note, but not entirely related. We do have a lot of traffic at Market that is tourist traffic along 505. And a lot of them use the gazebo as a place to go and eat whatever they've purchased at Market and to sit and gab. And then they walk over to the public bathrooms, and the first public building they see representing the city of Toledo is a disaster. This past Market, one of the bathrooms was locked closed and the other one was filled to the rim with shit water. And
Nasty.
as we know, we had the same battle last year. And it just has to seem to me that Public Works ought to have it twice daily on their
Yeah.
schedule, once in the morning and once in the afternoon to go by and make sure that thing is the way you'd want to present it to tourists traveling through town.
Okay. And I know the one of them is locked because somebody was kind enough to go in there and put their foot through the wall.
Oh,
Yes. And there's I think the inside wall is the one that has, like, it's not sheetrock, but
It's like a sheetrock.
yeah, so they're in the process of repairing that one, so it can be opened back up. But yeah, I will definitely talk with Public Works about having them do once or twice daily checks every day to make sure that it's being cleaned and filled and stuffed and
Yeah, kind of sad for me to think people driving by and the first thing they see for the city
is, yeah,
is that.
yes, I will definitely talk with them about that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Do we have anybody else?
Do we have any idea what time the fire departments are gonna be?
I believe it did say on the thing, they'll start at dusk.
9:30.
Okay,
Is what the flyer says.
is it, okay,
Oh.
And then the rest of town will run until 3 AM.
exactly, yeah. Okay.
She's dead.
All right, so I
I'll make a motion that we
adjourn.
adjourn.
a second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect, adjourned.
Lot of work
No, I
done.
think these things are. 14 minutes.